All right. Okay. Cue this up. Lord. Good Lord.
Oh,
Hi, Brandon.
us too. We're so glad you're here. My mustache is a little too long on this side.
All right. Let's get
Okay.
started. Alrighty. What is going on? You are watching and listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition. We're here every Wednesday night on the Vocal platform, VOKL platform. This is episode 434. I'm your host, Stevie, alongside my co-host, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm keeping it cute tonight on this lovely evening. Here with my boo
Absolutely.
thing, and we're about to have a great show. I can't wait.
I'm really excited about tonight's show. There's so much to cover.
Oh,
We are in
yes.
front of a live virtual audience. So, hi to people like Brandon, Eli. Looks like some people
Oleg.
are joining us live for the first time. So, we love it. Oleg just showed up. So,
Mm-hmm.
we want you guys to weigh in and tell us your thoughts, opinions, ask questions, and we will filter that out throughout the whole show. Okay, and one of the things we love to do on Tags Live is read comments, oftentimes from Tags Podcast, which drops every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. One of them came from Johnny. Johnny wrote in, loved episode 433. Just wanted to comment on the Adam Lambert story. While I do agree that actors should get the role if they get the part, we don't have that many LGBT icons or historical figures, and it seems
Mm.
like these roles always go to straight actors. Doesn't seem to happen the other way around. Cheers, Johnny from Uptown. Uptown.
Oh, Uptown New York. Uptown. Get it?
Is it Uptown New York or
I mean,
Uptown Oakland? There's
oh,
Uptown Oakland. Yeah, I'm
I don't.
not really
I
sure.
have
I'll have
no
to ask
idea.
him.
Yeah, we gotta let her know. We gotta get some clarification on this. We need the producer in our ear. He's telling me he doesn't
Exactly.
know either.
Thank you for commenting. We love it when you comment back on, and I do agree there aren't as many icons out there to play some of these roles. So, valid point that you're making there. Totally agree. I was thinking about it a little bit more, and it would be kind of cool to see Adam Lambert play the part because he can sing, and also, hear me out,
Yeah, go.
he has been touring with Queen
Mhm.
and playing Freddie Mercury, not playing for Freddie Mercury, singing Freddie Mercury. And
Yeah.
my friend saw him, who's a huge Queen fan, and said that although he lacks maybe that uber high note that Freddie could get in the back in
Okay.
the day, he puts on an amazing show and he sure does a great job with it, and he thinks he was awesome. And this is coming from a Queen fan.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I
Yes.
think it's kind of cool. I think Adam Lambert's doing some really great things out there, taking his American Idol and really pushing forward with some new innovative content out there, music. I think he has a new album coming out, or it just came out,
Oh, wow.
that is all going to, I think it's coming out, and it's going to be all reinterpretations of classic 80s
Oh,
songs,
yes.
and I'm really excited about it. So he's doing some really cool things. I kind of have my eye on him. So I wouldn't mind if he was up for the role.
Yeah, I agree with you. Adam Lambert definitely has the notes. He can sing his face off.
Yeah.
And did you know that George Michael also filled in for Freddie Mercury with Queen too? For Somebody to Love?
Yes. And the reason I know filled in.
Yeah, they did George Michael performed "Somebody to Love" at, I think it was one of the AIDS, life ball thingies that goes on. I'm not quite sure 100%, but I could do some research really quick.
Well, one of the things I know that he did do was for the Queen tribute
That's what it
that
was.
Lisa
That's what it was.
Stansfield also did. I Want to Be Free. Lisa Stansfield performed
Oh,
Queen, and George
really?
Michael also did a couple songs in that same tribute to Queen at the time. So, they can play all kinds of things. So I'm really happy about that. We got to read
Yeah.
a couple more comments, unless you had more to
Oh,
say on that.
oh, no, no, no. I just wanna make sure, all the comments are read tonight.
Yeah, so one's coming from somebody else here on Instagram, which I love. So Joseph White said, "Is there a foreskin podcast?
Oh.
I've been trying to find one." And I wrote back, "A whole podcast about foreskin? Oh boy." He says, "Yes, it would be great for us foreskin havers and lovers." I mean, I'm here for a show episode about that,
Oh,
because
yeah.
think I agree with him, and I love foreskin on my partners. I don't have a preference
Preference.
either
Yeah.
way, but I love it. I don't either way, but I don't know. Oh, wow, a whole show on that. We know what it takes to produce this show, Cody.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that would really be feasible, but hey, I think
I
he should
mean,
do it,
I was
and we'll
gonna
tune
say,
in, and we'll
if
have
he
him on our show.
I was gonna say, if he even wants to come in and he can help us produce a show about it, I would love that because I wanna know more about it, and because I love foreskin too, and, I don't mean I don't have a preference either way just like you, but yeah, I think it would be great to learn all about it.
I'm going to reach out to him and say, let's get him on the show and talk more about this. And we will have him on Tags Live soon, I hope.
Perfect.
Lastly, we have to shout out to St. Charles of Aberdeen, who
Oh.
writes, "Cody is so cute."
That's what I was waiting for.
Okay. St. Charles, by the way, watches us on YouTube, and we love our YouTube listeners. We're live on YouTube right now, and often we don't get to those comments. You can always listen to Tags Podcast, Tags Live on YouTube as well. Just go to youtube.com/Tags Podcast. Okay. And speaking, we got to clear up something, because we reported on episode 433 the other day about Aretha Franklin's iconic song, "A Natural Woman," that the transgender community, we actually said it was one particular group in the Netherlands. I remember saying that,
Mhm.
in Norway to be particular. And it was this whole controversy of the trans community is up in arms over the iconic song, "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," and it should be removed from Apple Music and Spotify because it's offending the trans community. And they even went as far as to say that it's causing violence towards the trans community. If you listen to episode 433, I think Lincoln, Cody, and myself were definitely
Yep.
saying that is not a link to the violence that is happening to the trans community. And no, a song that was written in the 60s should not be canceled at this point. Well, the update that we want to make now is that it's a fake account,
Yeah.
essentially a
Crazy.
bot, a now debunked activist group in Norway called for Aretha's hit 1968 song, like I said, "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," to be removed. They were called the Transcultural Mindfulness Alliance. Well, turns out that's fake,
I
and
know.
nothing about it is true. It was, I think, just a fake account, right, Cody?
I think it was a parody account. So they would put out fake news. And what's really kind of embarrassing is that some real actual we're not news people, but I mean we report on a lot of hot topics, but at the end of the day we give our opinions and we reflect and we give advice, things of that nature. Some real actual CNN news outlets type deals actually reported on this, and it was if I was a news outlet, I would be kind of beside myself if we fell for this trap.
We sort of did, like everybody else did. And
Yeah,
the
we
sad
did.
part about it is that the group have updated their Twitter account, their bio, to now say they're a parody satire. I don't know what's very, they were definitely trying to do something and cause drama. And they did it with an iconic African American black Motown Aretha, which, by the way,
A legend.
was named, one of the top vocalists by, I believe it was
Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone,
Mhm,
and they did it, which caused a lot of, I think, to do that. I don't think, what's satire about it. You're not SNL. We know when we tune into SNL, we're getting parody. There
mhm,
was some great skits about George Santos over the weekend with that, but you know what you're getting when you tune
mhm.
into something like that. When you put out something like that that is going to cause friction to a community that is already marginalized, to a
Mm,
community that is already being murdered every single day. I say this all the time. We could go on and report on the deaths of our trans brothers and sisters every day. It would take up the whole show if we
yeah,
really did that. And so to come out later, to put that out there and cause dissent and confusion and really create a divide where we're already divided and say, oops, we're just a satire group, haha, is really lascivious in so many ways. And I think,
mhm,
you know, but we need to clear that up. We had to move
yeah.
on from that. And Cali Dad says, LOL, Norwegians. We don't blame all Norwegians because we know we have a lot of listeners there. But,
In Norwegia.
I do remember saying that though on the show, this was from the Netherlands. So keep this in mind.
Yeah.
I always say I worked in radio in the past and I worked for an R&B old school. And when I heard the Netherlands coming up as this was a trans group from there, I was a little skeptical for it when I
Mm.
first heard it. Did you have anything else to add to?
No, I agree with you, though. I think that they probably should have done a better job of promoting. I'm glad they put it that they're a satire and parody site on their bio right now, but they probably should have did that a while ago before all this came out and the hubbub came about. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really see where you put stuff out there and it's a parody anyways. Moving on, we gotta follow up on a story that we were talking about, biopics, and one of the people that we were talking about was Madonna. Madonna, we've reported in the past, was writing and apparently scheduled to produce her own biopic about her life story, and she had narrowed it in, according to news that we had heard, to Julia Gardner, who I love, to play her, and that's been scrapped, and that's according to
Oh.
Variety.com, and it had a really, Universal Pictures was actually, it was in development there, and it was scheduled to go forward. She was going to direct it. I don't know where it got caught up in. Cody, to produce a movie, it's a huge deal, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
wanted it. She's a big fan. I've heard her say, Madonna, huge fan of the Elvis biopic that's currently nominated right now for Golden Globes,
Mhm.
Academy Awards, and I just think that maybe it just wasn't meeting up to standards. She had
Oh.
aligned herself with some really good a co-writer that has a good history of producing really good material out there. But you know how these things go. I mean,
Mm.
on our level, I can relate to it. We were trying to get a whole TV show off the ground. We had a pilot, and you work with people, you get like little grains, like a squirrel, like let's go this way, and
Mhm.
somebody shows interest, and then oftentimes it amounts to nothing. And it's hard to get material into the entertainment stratosphere when it's
Mhm.
on a larger scale, when you really need backing. And so it's scrapped. The good news for Madonna fans is, though, she's doing her world tour
Yeah.
celebrating 40 decades of it. So I don't know if it's really a loss. And she said in that she's still working on it.
Yeah.
And I think it'll come down the pipeline at some point, but it's just not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. I really hope it does come about because I really would love to know all about Madonna's life. I know we know so much about her already because she's literally an open book, the definition, the textbook definition of what an open book is. But I know that there's so much more to her life that we don't know yet. And I know that it's so juicy and it could be so salacious and just so wonderful. It will help us know the mind of a superstar so much more. So I really, really hope it gets picked back up. And It's just so sad.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we'll go see her in concert and spend a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
money on that show. Okay, well, we have to move on to a porn star that I'm a big fan of, a porn star that I actually met last year in person
Mhm.
at the CyberSocket Awards, where we were nominated for Best Podcast. We didn't win, but we were nominated. We were in good company. And there was a lot of porn stars nominated, one of them being Chirac, who, like I said, I'm a big fan of.
Oh, yes.
He just walked in Paris Fashion Week at the Louis Louis Gabriel Nucci Fall 2023 Paris Fashion Week show. And he took the opportunity, Kodi, to
Mhm.
make a political statement about where he's from. He's Iranian American, but he has really never spoke up about this. And he essentially, at the end of the runway, he did not tell the designers he was going to do this. He held up a
Ooh.
sign that said, "Stop executions in Iran." And we all
Wow.
know what's going on in Iran for years and years. We were talking about uh, Masa, uh,
I have
the
it here. Amini.
Masa Amini recently,
Mhm.
who was executed essentially for showing her hair. But that's
Mhm.
just one of many. He has really shied away from making a statement. He wrote, "Being Iranian and part of a marginalized community means I can't, in good conscience, go on using my platform strictly for work. I've been trying to do both for almost 4 months. Iranians back home are in the midst of a revolution. Living in diaspora means we have a duty to be their voice while the IRA limits internet access and has been arresting, torturing, executing innocent prisoners with impunity. I know it's not what you came here to see, but it's what's happening to my people right now. And the
Mhm.
international community has been silent. We are a community in mourning at the moment. Please bear with us and continue to share stories and support this movement. We need voices like yours in the international community." I am all here for what he did. It's
Yeah.
like this fashion house asked him to be a part of, as essentially a celebrity, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
They didn't have to ask him. He took the opportunity to make it a fashion moment, and he looks fierce on the runway, by the way,
Oh
you
my
guys.
god.
I'm like,
Gorgeous.
I love him.
Me
And by
too.
the way, he's so tough and dom top in his porn. But when I met him in person, he could not have been kinder and
Mhm.
gentler and listening to what I had. I mean, it was like a nice exchange, and you never know when you go up to somebody that's in the spotlight, how are they going to be received? Are they going to be not? He was so engaging and, I just want to say, gentle and sweet, which goes,
Aw.
yeah.
That's so
And
nice.
goes to show we have so many sides to our individuality.
Yeah.
And I'm here for what he did. What are your thoughts?
Oh no, I 100% agree with you. This really shows the content of his character. In addition to being insanely hot, he's a really great human being. This is this is how you use your platform for good in the world. This is how you show bravery in the face of opposition because he probably did find some backlash from the fashion house whose show he was in, but also this puts him on the radar of the Iranian government. So I think that him speaking out and doing fighting the good fight is so amazing. It's just so brave, and I applaud him for letting such an important issue not fall by the wayside because I feel like so many people are not talking about this anymore. Like
Right.
it's not in the public eye. It's not right up in the forefront. So thank you for putting it back in the forefront of our minds because it really is a tragedy that's going on over there right now.
Right. And I just think anytime somebody like him, it's not like he's doing it to his only fans. He took the opportunity, somebody put him on a platform for Fashion Week, and to use that, I think, was really important. And you're right. We need to remember the atrocities that are going around the world
Yes.
against not just our community, but to women.
Yes.
Of course, our community for sure.
Mhm.
Much like this next story that I almost forgot about to talk about,
I
Beyonce.
wouldn't let you forget about this.
Thank you. I know for some reason I didn't have it in my list here, but
But this is
Beyonce,
perfect. This is the perfect spot for it,
it's
honestly.
the perfect spot for it because it kind of relates to what Chirac is talking about.
Yes.
And you may have heard, we talked about it on this show recently. I love all the music news that we keep talking about on this show. And by the
So
way, we
good.
have a surprise coming up with our show soon related to music.
So
And you can
excited.
be a part of it too. So stay tuned in the next couple of weeks. We are going to announce something new for our 6-year anniversary. But Beyonce, like we talked about, was recently performing in Dubai. It was a sold out concert at the Atlantis
Mhm.
resort, and you can look up pictures of the Atlantis there. It's like beautiful architecture and
Yeah.
gorgeous. She was apparently paid, rumored, between 23 and 35 million, but either way, Kodi,
That's
I
a
mean,
that is a check right there. That is
yeah.
the whole bag. That is not half a bag. That is the entire bag plus some.
Celebrity star studded. Everybody wanted to go to it. It happened just the other day over the weekend. And the controversy came because a lot of people called Beyonce out because she performed in a place, United Arab of Emirates, in a
Mhm.
place that it is illegal to be gay, LGBTQ, and it is also punishable by death. Now, I want to make a quick comment on that. I did a little more research, and no one currently that I've read has
Mhm.
been charged or murdered in
Mm.
United Arab of Emirates. And I would almost argue that the amount of attention that they want right now and people to move there, and we were talking recently about international travel and where we can move, and there's places like they want people to move there.
Yeah.
I met a couple back a few years ago that were gay couple that
Mhm.
lived in Dubai. I
Yeah.
dated a guy back in 2011 that he had a lot of work over there. And he said he would go out. Now, when he would go out to the quote unquote gay clubs,
Okay.
you couldn't take your shirt off, but they
Oh.
had these amazing dancers up on the podium.
Oh.
And it was this whole interesting thing. So she's being called out for performing in a place that is anti LGBT, amongst coming off of the heels of an album, Renaissance, where she's really showing her love for the LGBT community. Do you see where this could be a conflict, Kodi, on, or do you think at the end of the day she should, I mean, she was offered all this money.
I think it's the money is neither here nor there. Yes, it's a lot of money. So if it was offered to me, I probably would take it as well. So, but I think that at first I was definitely taken aback because see, Beyonce is so she's such an ally to the community. So I really think that I was taken aback and I really kind of thought about it. And the more I started to read about it and hear about
Can
all
I
of
stop you right there,
go ahead.
though? Has
Can you,
she always been an ally to the community,
I
or do you
believe
think that
so.
because of Renaissance, she's become more of an ally? Because I have never felt like she was an ally to the community until
Really?
not really. I
I feel
haven't.
like she's always been an ally to the community. I
I've
could
heard of the one story that I've heard only from my backup dancer type
mhm.
friends, that they have said you do not speak to Beyonce. In other words, if you're hired to work on a tour with her, or you do not speak to her, which is fine. Maybe that's
Yeah.
how she works. Where on the other hand, Madonna and Janet calls her backup dancers the kids, and she's like one with them.
Mhm.
Madonna, I can actually speak from experience working twice with her that we talked to her and she was really cool. I don't know that Beyonce has always been one with that, the gays and all the behind the scenes stuff, but
Mhm.
maybe that's just how she works.
Yeah, that's probably, and from what I understand, that is probably just how she works. I mean, I've never met the woman, so I couldn't speak to it from experience, but her music really says so much to me, and it speaks volumes about her platform and what she actually stands for. So, in my opinion, I think that Beyonce is here for the LGBTQ community, and she's here for for women and for people of color as well. So I think the backlash is kind of asinine because so many artists, including gay icons, some you have mentioned already, have performed in Dubai. And even gay artists have performed in Dubai. Elton John, to say the very least, to say the very most. And then people like Steve Mackey and Avery Wilson have also performed in Dubai. So I think that maybe people are just upset with Beyonce because she's Beyonce and they think that she should be above it all. Uh, go ahead.
Well, the two things I will say on that, and I do agree with you, and thank you for pointing out Elton John and a gay artist. Many people have performed there. The one thing I will say is she really has been untouched. People can't say anything about her. No one ever has anything. Dare you say anything bad about Beyonce? I do think the reason why it's a little sensitive right now is because she came out with Renaissance, and Renaissance was dedicated to, I think it was an uncle that
Yeah.
was gay, but
Uncle
and the
Johnny. Her Uncle
LGBTQ
Johnny.
and the LGBTQ community. I mean, there's so many references in there and artists that she. So I think a lot of people were saying, "What's her first move post Renaissance album?" But I will say, uh, beyond all that,
Hmm.
her father made the point, and everybody that saw that concert in Dubai is it was a Beyonce concert. It was not Renaissance. So,
Hmm.
in other words, there is a Renaissance tour in the making coming up
Okay.
in the like down the road, hopefully this year, maybe next year, that you're going to get all those songs. So, if you were lucky enough to go to Dubai and see this concert, you would have not heard any of the Renaissance tracks. So she all the money that went into that, the millions of dollars, none of it was the new material. So the new material is being saved for a world tour for
Yes.
people, the LGBT community to really embrace. And so for that, I think, you know what, make your cash, girl. There's always going to be controversies, whether you do this, whether you do that. People are always going to be mad. People have a lot to say online. What are people saying?
People are
Xavier,
saying, Xavier is saying, as much as I like Beyonce, if we can criticize FIFA for having the World Cup in Qatar, we can criticize Beyonce for a concert in Dubai. And I
ooh,
did
good
think of that.
point.
I did think of that. I just didn't even bring it up because
Well,
it didn't
Xavier beat you to it, bitch.
because it didn't support my stance. So I didn't bring it up.
I agree, Xavier. Thank you
But
so much. And it's even not, you know what? I think Cody actually, and thank you, Xavier, is you and I were talking about this. We have a meeting pre
yeah,
show, and I think Cody was thinking that I was going to be all up in arms over
I did
this. And the only
think
thing
that.
thing I wanted to say was, you almost can't say anything about Beyonce without being crucified. That was my only thing. I think there's always going to be controversies. We've had controversies even in our little nook of a cranny of a
Mhm.
artistic moment that we produce all the
Yeah,
time. It's part of the game. And in social media land these days, there's always going to be something. I think the fact that it's a good discussion to be had.
yeah.
I didn't
Oh, I
even think
agree.
of the World Cup.
I
And that
did.
and that was a great that's a great point. But it's a conversation to be had, not you're wrong,
Oh,
cancel
yeah.
them, this kind of thing. I think it's a great conversation to be had to kind of think about we really need to think of our actions as we move forward. And someone like a Beyonce that's going to get up to 35 million, and it's you got to think about who already has millions and millions of dollars. Is
Would you
this really the right move for me from a PR
yeah.
standpoint? We're going to be talking about George Santos in a minute, but Caladad also says, watching us live, Beyonce's perfectionism requires complete focus. Okay.
Yes,
So does
and then
Madonna's and Janet's, but whatever.
and
Callie.
He also says, "Uncle Johnny made my dress that cheap spandex. She looks a mess." That's part of Beyonce's one of Beyonce's
I
songs.
haven't gotten to that song yet,
It's
but
so good. It's heated. So I have a point. I also think that because Beyonce is where she is, why is she open up to so much criticism? What is it about Beyonce? No, because people have not criticized other people for going to Dubai and performing. I could I think the difference between Dubai and Qatar is people I feel like have actually been assaulted and murdered for being homosexual there. And in Dubai, you stated previously that nobody has been charged with homosexuality. So I think that
right.
there's a minute distinction when it comes to that.
Correct. But in our meeting earlier,
Yes.
you stated, well, Janet has performed there, Madonna has performed
I
there.
wasn't going to say any
And
names.
no,
You
but
said
they were earlier times. I think what we know now, I mean, we didn't even do a show on this before. We were talking about where as LGBT are we looking to travel in the world was one of our recent topics. And
yes.
we were talking about would we go to certain parts of the world
Mhm.
if you knew you weren't accepted from your LGBT status,
And I
and
said
we were
no.
like, absolutely
I said
no.
no.
Do we really want to give our dollars to that? The answer was no. I think what's happening now in culture right now is the conversation. We just talked about Chirac and Iran. The conversation is coming up. Yes, world problems in Iran forever have
Mhm.
occurred. um, United Arab Emirates is a relatively new construct. They're a man-made location,
Mhm.
and they're yes, it has probably been illegal there. The conversation just hasn't been focused there. But as they continue to grow and grow, and Atlantis, I went to the original Atlantis in the Bahamas.
Okay.
It's huge. It's like so it's all falling into place because they really want to get the tourism coming their way.
Yeah.
They are not realizing that they have this old construct in the making
And
that
they
has been, and that's now coming up. Beyonce has a brand new album, and everybody is like about Beyonce's renaissance and how she's for the LGBT. So it does make sense that it's all aligning right now to Beyonce,
Mhm.
and people are pointing the finger right now that, you know, to me it all makes sense that
Mhm.
yes, other people have in the past, but culturally and what's going on in society and what we're talking about now is all relevant now. She happens to be at the butt, but please, Kodi, she has been free of controversy, whether or not she's needed it, and I would argue she has in the past. The bad fashion when she was part of that
Huh? Oh,
group.
part of Beyonce, be a
Ugh,
Destiny's Child.
ugh. She has been free of it, and it's like the land and
Her
world of
husband
Beyonce.
completely
Oh
cheated on
god, okay, I
her.
can't. I, I need to move on because we have a lot more to talk
I wanna
about.
say one more thing.
Say one more thing.
I There are places in the United States where there are anti-LGBTQ laws in effect. So are we just not supposed to go anywhere? I get it, and I do understand, and I am looking at her with a side eye. However, it's all about what she does from here. That's the final answer.
Good point. And Arkansas just came out with making drag queens equivalent to porn stars, and you can't see them. And so are we now like, I mean, I don't have a ticket to Arkansas anytime soon, but I feel for the people of Arkansas
Yes,
because they're
exactly.
not going to get their drag queen performances like at their pride events. And that's really needs to be put out there. Anyways, we have to move on. And we
Yes, we
love that
do.
you're commenting. We are live on a Wednesday night, on this rainy night in New York City. But we've got to talk about the liar, the biggest liar right now, George Santos. You may know him. He is a senator in New York, not where I live here in New York, but in what part of New York is he a
Let me
senator?
let me Google this really quick.
Google that.
Not
But
where I
we don't even need to talk about that because he has just gotten into it online with Trixie Mattel. Okay, why? George Santos engaged in a Twitter spat with drag race legend Trixie Mattel the other night. Santos began by blasting comic impressions of him. So over the weekend, John Lovitz did an impersonation of him on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. There was another one on another late night show, and then of course SNL did a brilliant one that I was living for that was
hilarious.
so fun. You got to check that out. But he, quote, said, I have now been enshrined in late night TV history with all these impersonations, but they are all terrible so far, bragged Santos. John Lovitz is supposed to be one of the greatest comedians of all time. Arguable. And that was embarrassing for him,
Jade.
not me. These comedians need to step their game up. Well, that caused Trixie Mattel to say maybe the source material was weak,
Ooh.
which I love. And George replied, clearly, you know all about weak acting skills at Trixie Mattel. Because apparently she did not do well when she had to do her acting skills. What do you call that when
The Snatch Game.
the Snatch Game? Who was she playing,
She played
Kodi?
RuPaul, and it was horrible.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay, George, you got one there.
That was
But
a real queen read right there.
I mean, it was shows to show for someone that has said he has not done drag before, and then he came out later under pressure at LAX, and then said, "Yes, I did drag. I was young," but he's also against drag because he's calling it groomers. He's one of those that is calling groomers. He's all over the place, and he has no place to be causing a commotion on Twitter. Mattel shot back with a quote about the denying he was ever a drag queen. Mattel said, I am not an actor. I was young and I had fun at a festival. So Trixie said that, but that's a
Mhm.
quote from George Santos,
Yes.
essentially saying, when he did do drag, I was young and I had fun at a festival. So she got her nudge back in there. What do you have to think about this? I mean, in the land and the ever giving of our community, and I mean, any person that has a podcast or a talk show, George Santos is giving us so much.
So much, because the
So
lies,
much.
they just never end with him. I don't understand it.
Pathological. It's crazy. I've lied here and there, speckled a little salt over something to embellish here and there.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I mean, this is insanity.
Yeah, he is just like you said, pathological, and it's just ridiculous. And I saw this tweet, and that's when I knew that Katara Revanche had lived at one point in time. So I didn't know where or what happened, but I knew that his alter ego Katara had lived. Because only a queen can come back with such a witty and scathing retort. This was like 4 years ago that Trixie did this Snatch Game. So the knowledge was there. And I'm so glad that Trixie got back with him because you can't let a queen get the upper hand on you. You got to read back, honey.
I'm telling you can't. No.
Yes.
It was
So
legendary.
it was
And
really, really
the fact
great.
that he thinks that he can get away with this, and no, I really want to see him canceled. I want to see him squashed. I think he is disgusting on so many levels. I just want to see how this is played out. I said
Yeah.
the same thing about Trump in the past. And in some ways, I've seen the downfall, but I think this is even juicier because we are not afraid to call out somebody because apparently he's gay and we don't want him
Yeah.
on our team, but I will call out somebody like this any day.
Yeah, likewise. And so he is from New York's 3rd congressional district, which is made up of parts of Long Island and Queens, basically.
Caladad says, watching us live, of course, on a Wednesday night. The Santos Congressional Library is open. Read, bitch. The Queen jumped out of that crew neck. Oh, thank you for those horrible sweaters. I hate those crew neck sweater vests that he keeps wearing. They're
Oh,
awful. I mean,
goodness.
what is this, 1984? It's just awful.
I
And
did I was gonna say something that's kind of awful.
say
He
it.
he looks like a serial killer is what he looks like.
The horrible. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, because
The sweater
I don't wanna
vest,
put that on
though.
him. It's he looks really, really disturbed, and I thought that wow. Yeah.
Ugh, okay. I know this is a story that's going to keep giving and giving, but we don't have enough time for that right now. What we do have time for is to give some advice to a listener. And one of our favorite things to do on Tags Podcast, of course, Tags Live as well, is to give our take, give some advice to you, whether it's sex or dating. And of course, one of them coming, I think he's watching right now live, is from James, who lives in Chicago. And James wrote into us and he says, "Hey guys, I'm hoping you can answer a question for me for for tonight. As I have mentioned before, I was interested in the guy that we shall call Antonio, but he ended up moving back to his parents' house in Texas for a while after we became friends during that time. I had a night off and I went out with some friends in Andersonville,
Mhm,
okay, here in Chicago. After getting to the gay bar and drinking way too much on my only night off, I can relate. I looked across the bar and saw this very handsome guy who made eye contact with me. Fast forward later, I ended up going to a video store that allows you to play in certain rooms and also has glory holes. To my surprise, the man that I had made eye contact with showed up where he started to fool around. Oh, I've been there. The police
mm,
closed it down at 3 a.m. and I started to walk home. He pulled his car around like a knight in shining armor and picked me up and took me to his place. We had amazing sex that night and the next morning, and I did the infamous bike ride of shame the next morning back to my place. My question is, we've recently shared talking about actually going on a real date, and I
mhm,
keep trying to set it up with him, but he goes quiet on me for long periods of time. I don't want to be overbearing or to ruin anything, and I don't typically try to date people that I've hooked up with so quickly, but he seems to be a really nice guy, and I would really like to take him on a date. But let me know if I should keep texting him and trying to set it up, or when I should just quit and walk away.
mhm.
It's a really interesting question, as I'm kind of always in that current mindset of when is too
Yeah.
much. I mean, there's a guy that I've seen for 2 dates so far that I met on the naked beach that I keep talking about on this show, and I reached out. My neighbor came over last night and I was saying, we went out last Friday and I haven't heard from him, but I want to reach out to him. Everything went great on the second date. Should I reach out to him tomorrow? My neighbor was like, put everything in the text, but very dis-
Mhm, succinctly.
succinctly say, how's your week going? And when can I see you next? So I did do that. He's responded during the show and
Oh, are
yeah.
we
And he
reading
said
it online? What's going
yeah,
on?
he essentially, we're giving James advice, so I don't want to take it over.
Sorry.
He did say, lastly, when are you free? So that's how that's going. So I
Okay.
think part of my first advice to you, James, is if you really like this guy, all bets are off. Put it out there. Push a little bit in a direct text and say, "Hey, I'd really like I was intrigued by you when we met. I'd really like to get to know you more." And maybe one more sentence, like these short sentences.
Mhm,
When can I see you next? Question mark. It keeps it very direct and to the point, and you don't let people off the hook.
yeah.
Is because one of my pet peeves is talking too much online on the apps and going in circles. No one wants a pen pal. That's not why we chose this game of meeting
Mhm.
people. No one wants to have endless conversations online. So to be direct, but put it out there and be direct and see, when can I see you next? When
Yes.
can we make a plan? Soon, because I would really like to see you. Put it out there. Don't be afraid to put it out there. Now, if he doesn't respond and if
Yes.
you get the runaround, then you know, okay, it's time to move on. I don't really know his story. It's who knows what's really going on
Yeah.
in his world. And then I really do think you need to move on. But I think to be direct and to the point once, maybe do it one more. I say do it one more time, even if you don't get the response. Be affirmative, get what you want. If you still don't get it, move on. What's
Yeah.
your advice?
You know what? You're reading my mind. That's why I'm laughing because we share so much of the same opinions on this. I think that you never know exactly what's going on in someone's life. So you can't take a lot of the non reciprocity of the situation into too harshly on you because he might be busy. He might have things to do. He might be I've encountered so many different scenarios when it comes to my dating life in the past of guys having family issues or work issues and whatnot. I think that what you should do, my personal opinion as far as it's concerned, my advice to you is once you have reached your limit, then I say text him one more time after that and see
Yes.
and put it out there and say, when can we get together? When are you free? I would really, really like to get to know you because once you reach your limit, if you do it one more time, then at least you can say to yourself,
Yes.
I I did the thing. I tried my hardest. I did everything that I could do in my power to actually get together with this guy. You won't have any
Oh,
regrets moving forward.
thank you, Cody. You said it exactly what I was saying exactly too.
I told you
Because
when we were going through it, when you were saying yours, I was like, this bitch is reading my mind over here.
Because the thing you need to do for yourself, you realize that a lot of this is in your head,
Yeah.
and you need to have some sort of closure or sanity for yourself. So if you set that limit that, okay, this was my limit here, but I'm going to try one more time after that,
Yeah.
and then that's my limit, that is your ultimate limit there. I did it today with the
Yeah.
guy that, and it was so funny because I was sitting with my neighbor last night and I had no reason. The whole thing about meeting somebody that you're interested in, you go through these ebbs and flows
Yeah.
of he liked me. I mean, I think I was telling you, oh, the guy that I went on the second date with, he was romantic and he had the birthday celebration for me and he was holding my hand and kissing me here and there. And that
Mhm.
was Friday. But then none of us reached out to each other up until here we are on Wednesday. And of course, my mind is racing like, oh, who's going to reach out next? What's going on? Is he really that interested? Even though I have no reason to think differently. And my neighbor was like, I know it sucks, right?
Yeah.
And he's kind of right. It does suck when you're, it
Second
sucks and it
guessing.
doesn't, it sucks and it doesn't suck. It doesn't suck because you're interested in somebody that's shown interest in you and you
Mhm.
met somebody. It doesn't suck for that. It sucks because maybe it's not happening in the timeline that you want it to
Yeah.
happen. And life is happening for you, but life is also happening for them. And you don't know them that well
Amen.
to know where they
Ooh.
are at. The book is coming out in the spring, y'all.
We are
But
co-authors on this.
we are co-authoring. Let's do it, boo.
I would love to. I would really honestly love to.
Stay tuned,
Um,
y'all.
I kind of want to also say this. You can and you can't gauge interest in yourself. I want to say from my personal experience, especially with Joe, because it's the last person that I've ever been on a date with. We would text nonstop, and I think that I could pretty much gauge his interest in me. Sometimes it hasn't been like that, of course, but I feel like you know whether or not somebody's interested in you. So go with your gut and make sure that you just do what feels comfortable for you and what you know in your heart that you'll be able to live with at the end of the day.
You lucked out with Joe because of what you just said right now on you were both equally interested in, and I don't know if it was just because, well, it turns out you both were into each
'Cause I got
other
good dick.
2
Wait,
years
what?
later. Sexually, 2 years later. I don't know if it was because of the pandemic, you were both, you met on Grinder, but I was gonna read a Reddit thread that I'm not gonna do right now, and it had to
Okay.
do with this similar thread about, "I haven't heard from this person." I think people are really busy. I mean, ideally, Cody, where
Mhm.
I'm at right now, I would really want to just have somebody that maybe I saw
Yeah.
once a week or once every that would be big for me.
Mhm.
And I don't even know if it's just that I met somebody that we are copacetic and
Mhm.
interested in each other, and it's exciting right now. But I don't even know what that means. I don't know if, other than I just want to kind of continue this journey, and if we don't see each other this week, next week would be great. If
Yeah.
he's not interested, then I want to know sooner than later,
Yeah.
because then I want to know if I can move on. But it's a whole mental fuck that you
It
go
totally
through.
is, right? It
James, of
sucks.
course, watching us live, said, excuse me, thank you, because we're giving you advice right now. I
Mhm.
just don't want to become a pest. You're not being a pest. It's been a hot minute going on a date. I feel rusty. Dates. Exactly. Well, I don't think you need to worry about how you'll be on the date. I think you just need to secure when you see him next. And you need to kind of I love the advice that we did give. I'm going to pat ourselves on the back of put it out there. When can I see you next? And put one more, give yourself one more where you can try and lock him into a time, because
Mhm.
that's what it all comes down to. We are not looking for pen pals in this world. We are not looking for a pen pal. Thank you, my sister. She gave me that quote. I don't want a pen pal. I want, if you had a good time, state that you had a great time and I want to
Yeah.
see you. But give yourself one more time. And then if he doesn't, then it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And there's and I hear you, James, because oftentimes on a hookup, it can become all about the sex, and it's easier. I think I said recently on a show, it's easy to almost write somebody off if it was just a
Oh,
hookup,
yeah.
where the person that I met on the naked beach, and we had a conversation on the beach, and then I met him on New Year's Eve, and then we ultimately went on our date. But you met on Grinder,
On
and 2
Grindr.
years later, look at you.
I mean, Grindr is the ultimate hookup. So
What else is James saying?
James is also saying he wanted to go out, but he did say he was very busy. So I just don't want to become that person. And honestly,
We're
I
all
do.
busy.
I
Sorry, we're all
I hear you,
busy.
right? Facts on that one. I hear you on that. And so when you actually go on a date, and I actually do believe that you will go on this date because it seems to me from what you have told me in the story that he is genuinely interested in you. So when you go on the date, please put out there that your communication style is not really aligning with him. And please put this in the most kind way possible because that is something if you're like, "Oh, you don't call me enough." That is something that can come across as very a
Mm,
little bit needy. But if you say, I kind of wish that you would be a little bit more communicative with me or something like to that nature. You feel it out in
ooh,
what it
that's
feels
feeling a
like. You think
little.
so? You think so?
I just think the fact that the guy said to James, he said he's very busy. He wants to go out, but he said he's
Mhm.
very busy. I think you need to then not be confrontational about it because we're all busy.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Cody.
Mhm.
Let's be honest, Cody. We're all busy.
Yes,
We
we are.
all make time for the things that we want to
The things that
do.
matter.
Nobody
Yes.
is that busy. Nobody is President Biden right now that has the schedule of President. I threw in President Biden. No one is that busy that we cannot take the time to meet
Or
with
Beyonce.
or Madonna or Janet, that we can't find the time to meet with those people that we really want to. So that's a cop out. I just think you need to. I think something like I know you're really busy. I'm really busy. I would really like to see you because the thing is, what they met at a certain period of time.
Mhm,
That spark that you meet in a hookup will fade, and it will be that much easier to say, "Oh, yeah, that was that," and put it in the back burner.
mhm,
James needs to get him now and say, "I know you're busy. How about a coffee or a quick
mhm.
drink, an hour in next week? What's
So
your free date?"
so do you think that because if to me, it seems like because he has been the principal person to reach out, from what I understand, that he's setting up a routine or a pattern for him to be the principal person. I would like to see how if he could possibly break up that pattern so that both parties could be communicative and make sure that they reach out to each other. That's the point that I was trying to make. That
I
I
get
think
it.
that he's setting himself up to actually be the person that always is the one that reaches out, and I think he needs to break that up some way, somehow. Brainstorm about it. I would personally be like, babes, just so you know, I'm a more communicative person. I and I, I'm kind of looking for somebody that's a little bit more communicative. Either he's down with it or he's not down with it.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing. Final
Yeah.
word, final advice is put it out there one more time and try and lock him into a meetup.
Yeah.
Yes, is that what we're saying for James?
100%. 100%.
Do it and then let it go. Let it go. Idina
Not
Menzel
not Idina
it.
Menzel.
Yeah.
Not Frozen at the end of the show. That is a shock to me. I never thought that would come
I
come
just
up.
watched a documentary on her and it was really
She's
good, and
amazing.
I do love her.
I've seen her in concert.
Yes, and lastly, thank you, James. We always want. I hope that helped a little bit. I know we were a little all over the place, but I hope that really helped you. And you can always ask us for sex or relationship advice. We are here for you. We are in the same game in many ways. So DM us on our Instagram account at Tags Podcast or go to tagspodcast.com and email us via the website.
Mm.
Lastly, I want to talk about one of my favorite people, Pedro
Oh,
Pascal.
yes.
Ooh, I
Thank you.
love him. I'm a fan of Pedro Pascal because I watched Narcos back in the day and he was
Mhm.
so good in it.
He's
He's
on
in a
that.
current show
Oh.
right now that you're watching, Cody, called The
Yes.
Last of Us, which is it good?
It's so good. I cried the first episode. It's like 10 minutes in. It's
It
so
looks
good.
great.
It's
HBO
scary though. Are you
Max.
here for scary things?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
He was on the red carpet promoting that show, The Last of Us, and the reporter asked him, "How you doing?" and essentially asked him, like, "How do you feel about being a daddy?" And Pedro opened up his Twitter account and said that the last person that tweeted him said he's a cool slutty daddy, and he confirmed, "Yep, I'm a cool slutty daddy," which I love that he said that. What are your thoughts on that, Cody? I
It
mean,
I love that. He's so sexy. He could definitely be my daddy. And P.S. I would love to be the cool slutty daddy. I would love to walk around in no shirt and short shorts for my kids' friends to be like, "Your dad is just so hot," and for my kid to be like, "Ugh, my stop looking at my dad like that." That's literally life goals for me. So, I mean, but what do you think about it? Would you like to be a slutty daddy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I mentioned recently somebody called me a zaddy, which
Mhm.
is a little bit above a tier of a daddy. It's just you have a little bit more swagger,
Oh
according
yeah.
to online Wikipedia. But Jaquan Williams, who watches us on YouTube, said it's fine when you're called daddy until they ask for the keys to the car
Oh,
and spending money. Then it's not so hot. I agree. I don't really want to be anybody's
sugar
daddy. Where
daddy.
sugar
Oh,
daddy.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not trying to be nobody's sugar daddy. Oop,
exactly. I'm still trying to get a
I'm looking
sugar
for a sugar
daddy.
baby compared to my
Yeah. So I agree. And no, I mean, embrace where you're at. I mean, the whole thing about aging is that it's a up and down, and you just got to embrace where you're at. And Pedro Pascal is, I love that he's embracing and read that on the red carpet. Yep, I'm a cool slutty daddy. I'm a cool slutty daddy too, or zaddy, and
Me
own it.
too.
Okay, cheers to that then. Well, on that
Cheers.
note, we want to thank our live virtual audience for tuning in and for weighing in. We couldn't do this show without you. You make the show. We've got some surprises coming your way in the coming weeks. Stay tuned for that. We're here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can follow my co-host Kodi on Instagram. He's got two. He's a life coach. Follow him at KMD Coaching. KMD Coaching, or his personal account, Mr. Maurice. Follow me, I am _ Steve V, or at Tags Podcast on all social media platforms. And in the meantime, Kodi, continue having hot, gay
Gay
sex.
sex.
Yes,
Yeah.
people.